Well, welcome back to another episode of Iron Rails. We are having a New Haven EP night. This is at the club, the Ocean County Society of Model Railroads. So I'm going to preview a few of the EP-5s, S-Scale American Flyer, and then behind me is the Williams O-Gauge. So before the crowd comes, I'm just going to give you a preview. So hang on. Okay, this is a single New Haven EP-5. The history of all this started in 1955, thereabouts, in the mid-1950s. It was all electric. So we're talking about, well, they were actually about 65 years, 70 years ahead of their times in terms of electric power vehicles. This is totally electrified train. There is no need for lithium batteries, no need for cobalt, none of that stuff. In fact, this is the old traditional electricity, which is pretty clean back for, that type of electricity back then. And like I said, they were 65, 70 years ahead of the time. Again, no need for any of the solar, lithium batteries, cobalt materials, no need for strip mine, that kind of stuff back then. So purely electricity, old-fashioned electricity. So here's a single locomotive running. Okay, next step, we have a double header EP-5s running. So how cool is that? A double header. I'd like to bring to your attention, although these two EPs look alike and it's made by American Flyer, but it's really not the same. This is an earlier model, the 499, and I believe that one has a horn in it, and it's run by an open frame motor. This one is a later model, number 21573, and there is no horn in this one, but they both run quite well. So watch this. We have a rerun of this doubleheader. Pretty cool, doubleheader. This electrified locomotive ran its course between New York City from Grand Central Station, or Penn Station, all up to New Haven, and then parts of New Hartford. Back then, it went through a lot of farmland, a lot of rural areas in upstate New York, and also Connecticut. There were a lot of farms in between those big cities, unlike today. There were cattle farms up there, there were vegetable farms, there were horse farms. So, pretty rural. It ran through all the rural countryside of New York and Connecticut. Again, no pollution, all electricity in terms of the power for these locomotives. So now, guess what? we're going to have a triple header, EP-5 triple header, American Fly S gauge. We'll give them some power. We're going to run it. It was a great idea to have an electrified locomotive that ran well in the open space. However, a few years later, this particular model was discontinued, only for a reason. I have to say the motor produces 4,000 horsepower. Each one produces 4,000 horsepower and maxes out at 8,000 horsepower. So, quite powerful. And it's all electric motors. Now, as you probably may not be aware of, for some of you folks who are not from the East Coast, Grand Central Station is a gigantic grand train station. And it's enclosed, it's totally enclosed. So when these trains go into the station, it's in a very tight, contained area. And once these motors are running, it requires a lot of air to cool it down. But because the stations were enclosed, there were no fresh air. I mean, there's not enough air to cool down these motors, and at some point in time, one of these EP-5s caught fire inside the station. As with any electric motor, it requires air to cool it down. Even the model trains here, it requires some cooling to cool down the motors, otherwise it gets very hot. So that was the demise of the EP-5s, and to this day, in real life, there is no EP-5s remaining. It was all actually went to the salvage yards, and that was the end of the EP-5s. And the EP-5s only lived on through by the models today. So it is one of the most beautiful locomotives ever made, and it was actually very good for the environment in many senses if you're running in the open country. So electric cars today, electric this and that, we're a little bit behind the times. The train industry was 65 years ahead of everybody else. I heard through the grapevine, electric trains are making a comeback somewhere. Well, as I find out more about it, I will definitely inform you through the videos here. All right, now the next thing we're going to do is we'll run the Williams O-gauge EP-5. This is a double header. It has a dual motor, and it's quite bigger than the American Fly S gauge. So hang on. All right, here it is. Has a dispatcher audio, has rail sound, has a horn, and has a bell. Well, that concludes this episode of New Haven EP-5s. Again, it's one of the most beautiful locomotives in my opinion, and unfortunately, it's only been remembered through models today. I think most train companies have made a copy of this model. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you like it, I appreciate a like. And if you have any comments, feel free to comment, good or bad. I welcome comments. And if you really like to see more of what I have to present in terms of the YouTube videos, subscribe to my channel. Just click on the icon on your right side. So that's it. Have a great train day and have a great day. I'll see you next time. All right.